It's dark times for British hedgehogs. Vanishing hedgerows and an abundance of manicured, fenced-in suburban gardens have both played a part in a drastic drop in hedgehog numbers, from 30 million in the 1950s to just 1.5 million today.
We've only just shrugged off the late winter that gave us the coldest Easter for half a century. A winter that may have spelled disaster for our hedgehogs and meant that many just won't have survived hibernation.
To make matters worse, in 2012, wildlife rescue centres across the UK reported unusually high numbers of hedgehogs being brought in.
Conditions seem to have conspired against them to create the hedgehog perfect storm.
The Vale Wildlife Centre near Tewkesbury is one rescue centre that's been inundated with hedgehog patients.
A typical year, we usually take in between 700 and 800 hedgehogs. Last year it was well over 1,200, over a 50% increase, which is unheard of.
Now, what do you put that down to?
Exceptionally wet weather is not good for hedgehogs. There wasn't much of their normal diet. Beetles, earthworms, caterpillars, they were in very low numbers.
This food shortage was particularly hard on hedgehogs born later in the year.
They always do have a second litter and it always causes problems. They won't survive the very cold weather unless they get up to about 600 grams or so.
These so-called autumn juvenile hedgehogs must eat a lot to build up the fat reserves they need. And last year, that food just wasn't about.
It's a big struggle for the youngsters to put on enough body fat to survive the winter.
With so little available to eat, hedgehogs had no choice but to fuel up on the one thing that seemed to do well last summer: slugs.
Problem with eating a lot of slugs when there aren't many other insects around is that slugs are a vector for certain types of worms in hedgehogs. If they are going very hungry, those worms can start multiplying because the hedgehog's resistance to them has been reduced. Now, if the worms multiply, they can suddenly start causing a problem. Last year, the juvenile hedgehogs were dying within a very short period of time coming in here.
It seems like it's all stacked against the hedgehog.
In 30 years of the hospital being open, we haven't experienced anything like that.
And of course, the most important part of wildlife rehabilitation is to release a healthy animal back into the wild. Now, spring's been really late coming this year, but the weather's finally warm enough to let this little guy go.
The team try and put animals back where they came from, but that's not always possible, and there's usually a surplus of hedgehogs that need to be rehomed.
Hi, Richard.
Oh, hi, Miranda.
Hi,
Hello.
special
Good to meet
delivery.
you.
Got the
Brilliant.
hedgehogs. Where do you want them?
Fantastic.
At the back?
Yeah, I'll follow you around.
Okay.
So when they find a garden that's hedgehog friendly, they take advantage and double up.
We've had hedgehogs in this garden for decades. The last couple of years, we haven't seen any at all.
So it would be really special to have hedgehogs again.
It would be superb, yeah.
Okay, right, first one in.
To encourage them to stay and hopefully even breed, Richard's built them their own hedgehog house.
There we are.
Perfect. Brilliant.
While thousands of hedgehogs like these two have been helped at wildlife centres nationwide in the last year, the big unknown is how many have survived in the wild.
It's clear the future of our wild hedgehogs is far from rosy. But while we wait to see how they've coped with the late winter, one thing's for certain: another wet summer like last year would be a disaster. And we all hope that's not going to happen.